Generation Truth Podcast with Carey and Rebecca Charles, where we declare that the Lord is good, His mercy is everlasting, and His truth endureth to all generations. We are so glad to have back on for part 2 of How to Save. Brother Scott Carsley, the president and founder of the Edge Christian Camp, and I brought him on here because he's actually been doing some classes with a lot of our staff at the camp of how to prepare for the future and how to save. And so this is important, right?
Yes, sir.
You know, this could be critical to really the next 6 months or the next 20 years. You want to save now for the future. The Bible even talks about that in Luke 14:28. It says, "For which of you intending to build a tower sitteth not down first and counteth the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it?" You know, Jesus is directly teaching here in Luke that we should plan ahead before committing to something. I mean, you do this all the time with camp, right?
Yes, sir. All the time.
So this is very important. You know, we do it day to day. We also do it year by year, or we should be planning for the future.
And it's just as important to plan in your personal life.
Yeah, absolutely. Planning really just, it helps so much of everything. You know, I made that statement before in one of the other episodes that was a mouthful, but heard one preacher say, proper prior planning prevents poor performance. Okay, it's a mouthful, but it's true. If you plan ahead, you have a better chance at succeeding. Okay, now we're not here to just encourage people to make as much money as you can so you can be successful. No. You make as much money as you can so you can give glory to God and give as much money as you can. And so, Scott, preparing for the future, I've heard that one of the ways to prepare for the future is something called an IRA. Can you explain that to us?
Yes. And so IRA is an individual retirement arrangement. An IRA, there's 2 different types of IRA that I'm going to mention today. There's a Roth IRA, which is a pre-taxed IRA. So basically, you're putting money into the IRA. Taxes are paid up front, and when you retire and draw it all out, taxes have already been paid. There's a traditional IRA, which is the opposite. You put money in, when you draw it out in retirement, then you'll pay the taxes on that. And then there's employer-sponsored 401k plans. There's a number of ways retirement. If you're in a corporation and they offer you a 401k plan, I would encourage you to sit down and talk to them about it.
Sure.
Even young people today should be considering what the future may hold. Now, we know that God is in control of all things.
Yes, you're right.
But we also want to plan, and if God gives us the ability to plan, if God blesses us financially, we need to plan for that. Especially young people today who are considering getting married, considering continuing college into their master's or doctorate program, maybe having children. There should be planning for the future. You want to take care of your family. And, I mean, honestly, everybody would enjoy retirement.
Yeah. I mean, okay, let's be honest. If you get to the age 67, I think that's retirement age now. So 65, 67, if you get to that age and then you're like, oh, I'm ready to retire, just, not have to work at a full-time job anymore. But if you haven't saved up anything, what are you going to live off of?
That's correct. And I would give the advice, too, you want to get with a financial advisor as you plan for your retirement, because they can help you decide on how much retirement you need to put aside for later in life.
That's very good.
You might retire at 67 and God blesses you and you might live to 105. You want to make sure that you have enough retirement set aside for those situations. Yeah,
definitely. And so maybe you're a young person listening to this episode, you're thinking, Carey, this is not practical for me. Well, really, it is practical. I know we like to live in the now. We don't like to prepare for the future. But, the Bible even talks about in 1 Timothy 5:8, but if any provide not for his own, and especially for those of his own house, he hath denied the faith and is worse than an infidel. Basically, that's saying, Brother Scott, if you won't even provide for the future of your family and provide for the now of your family, then you say you're a Christian, you're really not acting like it. You need to live out that faith, and that means preparing for the future. There's responsibility. We have responsibility as young adults or teenagers or whatever age you are to prepare for the future, whether, like you said, I'm glad you brought up wedding. Man, weddings are expensive nowadays, okay? Whatever it may be. Maybe it's college. Maybe you're out of school, whatever it is. You just got a job at Chick-fil-A. Let's say that. You just got a job at Chick-fil-A, and you get your first paycheck. We talked about you need to be tithing off of that in the last episode. Absolutely. But if you have a little bit of extra surplus, maybe you want to put $50 into an IRA account each month, or maybe depending on your bank, maybe it's only allowed a couple times a year. Whatever it may be, you have to look at the bank, but you should be doing that to prepare for the future.
Yeah, and I think some false thinking that happens too with the younger generation is, well, I don't make enough to put in. And that's not true. Even if you only have $5 extra a month, you should set it aside.
Yeah.
It's just a small testimony. When I was 18 years old, I got my first 401k plan through my employer, and I was gracious for that. I couldn't put a whole lot of money in it, but I did something. And so never think that it's not enough.
Yeah. That's a great testimony. I mean, do what you can. God will give you the ability to do something. But you got to be a hard worker. You got to be willing to go get that job. You
have to be disciplined.
You got to be disciplined, definitely. So an IRA is an option. You don't have to do an IRA. Some people don't, but it is an option that is very practical and helps save up for the future. Another option is a money market account. Could you explain that to us?
So a money market account is a little bit different. It's really not geared for, I would say, for retirement. Maybe your financial advisor would tell you that it could be. Money market account is a liquid deposit account, which normally averages a higher interest rate. So what do I mean by that? You can open a money market account depending on the bank. They have requirements on how much you have to deposit to open it.
Sure, yeah.
But the interest rates tend to be much higher, and so there's a larger gain, obviously, with larger interest rate.
I think from what I've seen recently, the average around here in Virginia, I don't know what it is in other places, but in our area, it's about 3.5% to 4% interest is the typical. Sometimes they're lower, sometimes they're higher.
Yeah, it fluctuates with the market. I've seen them as high as just over 5%. And so you have to, again, get advice from the bank you work with, get advice from a financial advisor, even
That's good. Yeah.
Even a tax accountant that you work with. I'm going to always suggest that you get their advice. They're in the numbers every day. And so,
as a young person, we're explaining a lot in a very short amount of time. This is a 10-minute episode, okay? But I have a lot of questions. And from what I've found, if you go to the bank, they are more than happy. Usually, they're more than happy to answer those questions. So I would encourage, and I know Scott would agree with me, if you're listening to this episode, you've got questions, reach out to us. You can feel free to email us at carey.charles@theedge.camp, or you can go on our website and find our camp email, which is info@theedge.camp. And email us about this or give us a call. But I'd encourage you also talk to that financial advisor, like Scott said, because that's what they're there for. Say, Carey, where do I even get a financial advisor? Well, maybe you need to talk to your parents about that. Talk to your pastor. If you have a godly pastor that has more experience in this, you may want to talk to them. Get some help on that. So the money market account, you could put $50 into it a month, each month, and gain a little bit of interest on it.
Correct.
And that would help you save for the 3 to 6 months.
And with the account,
as well.
right? With the account being liquid, you can use it almost virtually like a regular checking account.
Sure.
There are limits to that, so you need to do your research and find out what that is.
Yeah.
But it is a very easy, simple way to save money.
Yeah.
And, praise God, there's some interest, and so you gain a little bit. But the point of it is to get yourself disciplined, get yourself in the habit of just saving money.
That's good. That's very good. It's basically a high interest savings account. That's really what it is, and that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing these helpful thoughts and just information, because I know my generation, a lot of times we don't even know what this is. What is a money market account? What? I've never even heard of that. Just different like that. They may be thinking that. We need to prepare for the future as young adults, teenagers, or maybe you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever. You're always having to prepare for the future of what next. Well, how do you prepare? You've got to find out the truth. You've got to find out the practical truth that you need to live out truth. And so let's know the truth so we can live the truth, so we can give the truth, because God's truth endures to every generation.